Hi, I'm going to be doing my peer teach today over violence against nurses. I know it's not really it's a topic in nursing, but it's not specific to med surg nursing. But it's just something I've really noticed while on the med surg unit is you have to really learn to adapt to a bunch of different types of people. There are younger people, there are older people, people who have maybe mental disabilities, and you really have to learn how to work with that. And a couple times I've seen the patients get agitated. Someone from my group said that they saw their nurse get pushed back a little bit. And it's just something I didn't realize was a huge issue, but it really is. I've been researching it and looking at it, and it is a huge deal for nurses. So I have some statistics. 1 out of 4 nurses are assaulted in their career, and that is a very large number, and it should not be that high. And part of it is nobody really thinks to report these incidents because they think it's a part of the job. They think that they can't do anything against it, or that the patient is scared or vulnerable, which might be true, but it is super important to report these cases because then your hospital can maybe work up more prevention programs to help deal with it so it doesn't escalate to that point. 75% of 25,000 assaults reported annually are in healthcare and social services alone. So 75% of those assaults reported are in healthcare. And oh my gosh, that just blew my mind. Like, that is an insane amount of numbers. And so what's different is you might think like a police officer might have a more dangerous job, and so he or she is in the line of fire, but they have bulletproof vests, they have guns, they have stun guns, tasers, pepper spray. They have a bunch of methods to de-escalate the situation before that they take action. And as nurses, we're not really seen as someone as it's like somebody who's in danger most of the time. But these patients, if they become agitated, they can act out physically and verbally, and it doesn't really matter. And as a nurse, I feel like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want to hurt this patient, obviously. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to, risk their life or, get me in trouble, get me fired from whatever job I have. But it's super important in my eyes for more awareness to be brought to the topic, and maybe more laws to come into play from legislator to help nurses out in the field and feel like they're not alone and feel like they're not, helpless against these attacks. And so there was a case in Illinois. There was an inmate, and he was in the hospital, and he was not shackled down properly to the bed. And he held a nurse hostage and raped and beat her for hours, like hours on end, before the SWAT team came in and fatally shot him. So this easily could have been prevented. It was just a dumb mistake that needed to be fixed. You just had to shackle him down. That was it. And this nurse almost lost her life. There was another case where one healthcare employee was being attacked by a patient, and a nurse stepped in to separate and help de-escalate the situation. She suffered life-threatening injuries, and she later died from those. And that's just, there needs to be methods in place and more education based on this topic so that nurses don't feel like it's just part of the job or it's just something they have to suffer. So I have a couple tips here if you are feeling threatened. So this is before there is a physical or verbal threat. If you feel like the situation is, escalating and you can't do a lot to fix it, so you can try to escape, go out the door. If you can't, then yell as loud as you can for help. If you're not by a call light, then yell. 2 is if this patient is starting to get physical, you need to create a barrier between you and the patient or the family member, whoever it is that's being violent in the hospital. So put as much distance between you and the offender so that you have a less chance of getting hit or physically assaulted. If they do attack you, one thing that is not known is you can defend yourself with equal force. So, obviously you're not going to go way overboard or whatever, but if they are punching you, you have the right to defend yourself. And, most people are scared that they're going to lose their job. And while I was researching, there were nurses that reported that they were scared to take action because they have heard in their management, if you report something, you're going to be the one in trouble. You're going to be the one that's going to suffer the consequences, which is so backwards. Number 4 is if there is an incident that does happen, whether it's physical or verbal, you need to report it. If you report it, there is more of a chance that your hospital can help take action, that they can help provide education to fellow nurses, to de-escalate situations, proper training, so that they can defend themselves in life-threatening situations. After the incident happens, a lot of people would feel anxiety, they would feel scared. You are allowed to take a leave of absence for as long as you feel comfortable. It is detrimental to your mental health to go back to work feeling scared, and it's not only important for you, but it's important for your patients. If you can't give your all without feeling scared and timid, you need to take a step back and get some help. That's the 6th one, is get support. If you feel overwhelmed with what happened and you can't control it, and you feel like you can't, wrap your head around it, go see a counselor, a therapist. You need to talk to somebody about your fears and kind of get it off your chest and work through it. You can't work around it. You got to work through it. And so those methods can help you get through a physical or verbal attack in a better state of mind than without these. And so there's this nurse, she created a organization called Silent No More, and it is for the whole purpose of nurses being physically and verbally and emotionally abused at work by patients. And she's taking a stand to say this isn't okay. She was attacked at work, and she just said, this is the final straw. I can't do this. And so they had a big conference meeting, like how we had our nurses convention, and there was 540 people in a room, and the speaker said, first, let me backtrack. She said, stand up, everybody in the room stand up, so 540 people are standing, and she said, if you or someone you know, and you witnessed it, if you've seen somebody or yourself have been physically assaulted, sit down. Everybody but 3 people, 3 out of 540 people sat down. 500, yeah. 3 people stood standing up. Sorry. So that's mind-blowing. It's insane that number is so high. And what's even crazier is 2 of those 3 people were nursing students. And so I just can't even wrap my head around how this issue has not been taken head on. And there are so many ways to de-escalate these situations that nurses might not know about. And I think it's super important to have education in place for us whenever we get out in the working field, for nurses that are already in the field, because it is a threat to our lives, and we shouldn't go to work scared. It's not a part of the job. It's not a part of the job to be physically, sexually, emotionally, verbally abused. I have seen firsthand patients make comments to nurses that are just super inappropriate, and they made me feel uncomfortable, and they made the nurse feel uncomfortable. And I just think it would be super important and very imperative to the future of healthcare to put situations, simulations, anything in place so nurses feel prepared for this and don't feel like they're stepping on toes or, they're not doing something within their scope. And so that's something I really just want to raise awareness for and have everyone just kind of think about. And the things I'm including in my little handout is going to talk about ways to de-escalate situations and kind of stop things before they get rolling. And so that's my peer teach. Thank you.